She refused his marriage offer, then found bank statements proving he'd paid her granddaughter's hospital bills. What happens next will restore your faith in love. The fluorescent lights buzzed softly above Martha's tired frame as she wiped down the last booth at Rosie's diner. At 68, her knees ached, but she refused to slow down, not with 10-year-old Lily's chemotherapy bills piling up. The diner's cracked vinyl seats and faded checkered floors held decades of stories, but none as heavy as Martha's. Each night, she served meatloaf specials to truck drivers and night shift workers, her silver hair tucked neatly under a starched white cap. Then he started coming. A tall man in an immaculate gray overcoat, always arriving at midnight, always sitting at table 9. His salt and pepper beard and watchful blue eyes reminded her of her late husband, but his gold cufflinks hinted at a world far beyond her reach. He ordered black coffee and apple pie, never speaking beyond a polite thank you. But Martha noticed how his gaze lingered on Lily's photo tucked by the register and the crisp $100 bills he left as tips, which she always quietly returned. One stormy night, a rowdy group mocked Martha, shaking hands as she poured coffee. The man at table 9 stood abruptly, his voice like thunder. "You all apologized to her." Now, the room fell silent. Afterward, Martha whispered, "You didn't have to do that." He met her eyes for the first time. "Yes," he said softly, "I did." The next morning, Martha found an envelope at table 9. Inside was a receipt from Lily's hospital and a single sentence: "No child should suffer while good people watch." Martha stared at the hospital receipt, her hands trembling. The numbers on the paper, 15-0, covered Lily's latest treatment in full. She searched the diner for clues, but the man hadn't left a name. That night, he returned as always, his expression unreadable. "Why?" Martha demanded, slamming the receipt on table 9. He sighed, stirring his coffee slowly. "Because I lost my daughter to cancer 20 years ago. I pulled in to save her, but I can help you save Lily." Martha's anger melted into tears. Over steaming mugs, he shared his story. Edward Carlisle, a billionaire who'd built hospitals yet couldn't cure his own child. Now he anonymously paid medical bills for struggling families. "Let me help," he urged, but Martha shook her head. "We're not charity." For weeks, Edward kept coming. He fixed the diner's leaky roof, hired a nurse for Lily, and left grocery vouchers in Martha's coat pocket. Each kindness chipped at her pride. One dawn she confronted him. "You think money fixes everything?" Edward's eyes glistened. "No, but love without action is just words." He placed an antique locket in her palm, a photo of his daughter inside. This was Claire's. She'd want Lily to have it. Martha clutched the locket, feeling the weight of his grief and the hope he was offering. Snow swirled outside the diner's windows as Edward waited for Martha's shift to end. His hands, usually steady, fumbled with a velvet box. When she approached, he stood abruptly. "Martha," he began, "boy thick, I don't want to be just your patron. I want to be your partner. Marry me. Let me give you and Lily the life you deserve." Martha froze, staring at the diamond ring glittering under the diner lights. Her heart ached not with joy, but with humiliation. "You think I betrayed my dignity for security?" she whispered. Edward recoiled. "That is not. I am nobody's charity case." Martha threw her apron on the counter and fled into the storm. For days, Edward didn't return. Martha's guilt grew with each silent sunrise. Then came the call. Lily's fever had spiked dangerously at the hospital. Doctors said she needed an experimental treatment, 50-0 upfront. Martha begged banks, friends, even strangers, but doors kept closing. Kneeling in the hospital chapel, she prayed for a miracle. When she returned to Lily's room, an envelope lay on the bedside table. Inside were discharge papers, all fees paid, and a note for Lily. No strings. Martha crumpled to the floor, sobbing. Someone had been listening after all. The hospital hallway stretched endlessly as Martha searched for Edward. Nurses pointed her to a private wing where she found him, pale and frail in a hospital gown, connected to monitors. A doctor explained Edward had stage 5 cancer, refusing treatment to focus on helping others. He insisted we prioritize Lily. The doctor said. Martha's legs buckled. All this time, he'd been dying and still put Lily first. She crept to his bedside, tears splashing onto his hand. His eyes fluttered open. "I am sorry," she choked. "I thought you were buying me. But you were giving me everything." Edward weakly pressed a button, revealing test results. His cancer was treatable with a new therapy. "I didn't tell you because I needed you to choose me freely," he rasped. Martha kissed his forehead. "I choose you, not your money." "You." Outside, spring blossoms unfurled as Edward began treatment. Martha divided her days between Lily's recovery and Edward's bedside, reading Claire's old storybooks to them both. One evening, Edward whispered, "Will you let me finish what I started?" He opened the velvet box again. This time, Martha said yes, not to a billionaire, but to a man who'd loved her enough to let her walk away. The small chapel glowed with candlelight as Lily, now healthy and rosy cheeked, walked Martha down the aisle. Edward waited at the altar, his posture strengthened by months of recovery, his eyes bright with tears. Instead of diamonds, Martha wore Claire's locket. Edward's ring was a simple gold band engraved with "Chosen." Not given. After the ceremony, they returned to the diner now renovated as Claire's Place, a community hub where struggling families could eat for free. Edward poured coffee while Martha served pie, their laughter mingling with Lily's as she played with new friends. That night, as they locked up, Edward pressed a key into Martha's hand. "What is this?" she asked. "The key to my heart," he teased, then grew serious. "And our foundation as first food truck for families who can come to us." Martha smiled through tears. "You're still meddling, aren't you?" Edward kissed her silver hair. "Always. But now I've got a partner." Outside, the stars shimmered like 1,000 blessings, bearing witness to a love that began with quiet kindness and grew into something unshakable, a second chance neither had dared to hope for, but both had earned.